Chairman's asked me to.
Good evening, and welcome to this new and old Malden Neighbourhood Planning Subcommittee, whether here in person or watching on the webcast. My name is Councillor Leslie Heap and I'm chairing the meeting this evening. In the event of an emergency and the sounding of an alarm, the emergency evacuation procedure is to leave by the main staircase located behind me and congregate at the front of the building. Anyone requiring assistance should remain in their seats and an officer will assist you from the building. This meeting is being filmed for live broadcast on the Council's YouTube channel, and an archive version will be available to view on the Council's website after the meeting finishes. The broadcast will be suspended during any adjournments in proceedings and if the committee resolves to consider information as exempt business. Please can everyone present in the meeting ensure their mobile phone is turned off or in the silent mode for the duration of this meeting. Thank you. Feedback? Right, to introduce you to who is here on the committee tonight, I'm just going to start with Councillor on my right-hand side, Councillor Coogan, and ask you to introduce yourselves. Thank you.
Hello, Councillor Coogan, Coomville Ward. Thank you.
Hello, Councillor Yvonne Tracy from Green Lane and St James Ward.
Hello, good evening. I'm Elizabeth Park, Old Malden Councillor.
Councillor Richard Thorpe, Boxford Park and Old Malden East.
Thank you. We also have officers in attendance this evening. On my right, I've got Sam Nichols, Democratic Services and Clerk of the Committee, and on my left-hand side, Toby Feltham, Officer for Planning. Thank you. Members of the public are reminded that the planning application process is constrained by the need to have regard to current planning policy at national, regional and local levels, as well as all other material planning considerations, including case law precedent. The decision-making process is often described as quasi-judicial because local planning authorities have to act reasonably within the bounds of planning law and the above considerations, and are not free to determine planning applications simply because of the weight of public opinion. There is a registration scheme for residents and applicants wishing to participate on planning applications to be considered this evening. I don't know whether we've had any other, but and also members of the public who have also pre-registered to speak this evening will be called to the table at the front as and when required. I don't have to read that out, do I? No. Okay. Moving on to item 2, the minutes of the meeting. Are members happy to approve the minutes of the meeting held on the 15th of November 2023? Agreed? Thank you. Item 3, declarations of interest. Members are asked to declare any disclosable pecuniary interests or any other registrable or non-registrable interests relevant to items on this agenda. Do members have any declarations? If so, please indicate now. No? Okay, thank you. Before we consider the application, we only have one this evening. There was going to be another one, but that's been taken off now. Before we consider the application, members are reminded that issues related to the previous legal challenge, a legal challenge based on the notification process, are not relevant to the merits of the application being considered tonight. Does everybody understand that? Yeah? Okay. So, item 22/02877, full 4 Thritham Close, New Malden, KT3 5JN. The proposal is erection of three-bedroom terraced houses at land to the rear of with associated landscaping, car parking, refuse recycling facilities and cycle storage. And I'd like to introduce Toby Feltham to introduce the item and make the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So here is the current application site in 4 Fritham Close. This just shows the existing trees. So just to give you the sort of categories, the blue is category B, so B is better than C. Grey is quite a lot of them are grey. There's category C, and there's a red, which is category U. The pink circles are the root protection areas, so that just gives you a sort of flavour of the trees on the existing site. This is 4 Fritham Close, which includes the access. So this is the access would come past here, where you see the car on the left. The frontage would remain, but the sort of single-storey building set behind would be removed. So it would be slightly wider than you see there, and the garage beyond the car or van would be removed. This shows you the rear of 4 and 5 Fritham Close. So this is view from the garden of 4 Fritham Close towards the rear gardens of Knightwood Crescent. So you can see some of the trees that are there, and certainly the one on the left of this would be one that would be removed, because the building would be going here. This is the view from the garden of 4 Fritham Close towards the rear gardens of Meadow Hill. So you can see what you can see probably behind the fence. There's a couple of outbuildings that are the end of those gardens. And here is view from garden of 4 Fritham Close towards the rear gardens of Barnfield. Again, so the buildings on the left within the site would go. There's a couple of outbuildings at the end of the garden. There's also some trees, most of which would be retained, but there is, I think, the one on the right that might go. We'll look at that in a second. And this is a view from the garden of 5 Fritham Close. So to sort of give the context of where the 2-storey building would start to be seen, about where there's a kink in the sort of rear boundary fence, and then the building would be to the left of that, and you would broadly be seeing the side elevation and then the sort of roof as it pitched up. Another view from Garden 5 Fritham Close. So, and the sort of large trees that you see on the left-hand side of this, those would remain. Those are sort of close to the rear boundary of 4 Fritham Close. So, just coming on to the trees. So the tree protection plan is set out here. The purple protected areas, those would be outside of any sort of building works. Then there's a sort of yellow areas which will be limited activity. The dotted red outlines are 4 trees to be removed. So there's one which is where I mentioned it's a kind of 3-stemmed tree to the left of this image, and then 2 in the middle, and then 1 to the right-hand side. It's also worth noting in green, there's 10 new trees proposed. So 4 within the garden of 4 Fritham Close, the garden that would remain, and then 6 on the eastern boundary. So here we have the proposed location plans. Probably the one on the right is one to look at first, just to give you sort of context of the surrounding area. The red line is the application site. And if you move to the left-hand image, you see that in sort of closer up. So it's 3 buildings on the 3 basically blue outlines on that site plan is what is proposed. So this shows the car parking, the swept path plan, some site distances and amenity spaces. So I'll go round and highlight what the numbers mean. So 6.9 metres is the distance of the front boundary of the property at the top, proposed property at the top, from the boundary to the front of that property. It steps as you move further away, further towards the bottom of this image. It gets slightly further from the boundary, and then at the top, the garden. You've got 7.9 metres as a minimum depth there between the proposed property and the rear of the site. So it's worth noting that, where we were looking at the image from the garden of the property on the right, you can see where that kink in the boundary was, and to an extent, therefore, what you would see from that property. And then I've marked in purple the sizes of the proposed gardens. So they're 63 square metres, 53.8 square metres, 61 square metres. So our standards would require at least 50 square metres for a family house. In terms of the distance from the boundaries, then the guidance would seek 7 metres. The remaining garden is slightly more difficult to measure, but it's slightly bigger than the other ones, and approximately 80 square metres. Just on the bottom of this image, the width between the width of the access, the minimum width of the access is 2.3 metres, which you can see is a sort of red line that I've drawn across there, which allows cars and small delivery vehicles to get in. And the purple tracking shows a vehicle coming in, being able to turn in front of the top parking space, reverse, and then come out in forward gear. And so that's why those have been staggered to achieve that turning space, and it would be secured that there should be no parking, and that should be kept clear other than the people parking in those 3 spaces. This looks fairly similar, but there's some slightly different information on here. So this is, this just going to focus on the refuse storage arrangements, cycle parking, and a suggested area for use on day of collection. All of this could be secured by condition, and a condition is attached. So you can see, perhaps in the bottom right, the area which refers to the area at the sort of very front of the site, where bins will be brought on the day of collection. Otherwise, the bins would be stored in front of the houses, and the cycle storage would be in the rear of the 2 outside properties and to the front of the middle property. But that's be subject to condition in relation to that. So then just to bring you to the proposed houses. The front rooms on the ground floor are bedrooms, and then there's a sort of living, kitchen, dining area to the rear, which opens out onto the rear garden. The first floor shows two bedrooms, which this goes up into the pitched roof, and that shows you the roof plan. And just to divide it up in a slightly different way, you've got the ground first and roof plan of an individual unit. And this is just the water mist layout in terms of fire, to deal with the sort of fire situation. So because a fire engine wouldn't be able to access to the rear of this property. So this has been reviewed by our building control team, and they're satisfied this works and is typical in these situations. So onto the elevation. So the top image is the proposed front elevation, and then the rear elevation is the bottom image. And this is what you would see from the of the side elevations there. So you can see sort of maximum of 8.1, but obviously the eaves would be closer to sort of 5 metres. This just shows you sections through, and the existing proposed side section. So existing is the top one, and then the lower one shows the 3 properties on the left and the existing property on the right, and some of the other properties in Fritham Close. And these are visualisations of the proposed houses. This is from the proposed access road. The car parking layout is slightly different to this, but the properties would look the same as this. And this is from the front again. And then this is from the rear. So if you can see there, you can see that the sort of first floor goes into the pitched roof, and that's also showing it from the rear. So that's the presentation. I'll just in terms of the commentary we've had from sort of internal consultees, the council's tree officer and building control officer were satisfied with this. In terms of assessing this application, substantial weight is given to the provision of 3 additional residential dwelling houses.
Sorry, can I just have a quick look at the front slide before you switch back the lights on? Can I just look at the front of the house?
Shall I just finish this and then...
Okay, because I see it's going to slide. Thank you.
So we considered that it has an adequate quality of internal space and external space, well designed. In terms of sort of distances from adjoining surrounding properties, all of the properties at the front and rear are at least are over 21 metres. So in terms of privacy, there wouldn't it would comply with with council policy, and basically because we are because the council are in tilted balance in terms of provision of housing, and we don't consider there will be any significant adverse impacts associated with proposed development that would significantly and demonstrably outweigh the benefits. The proposed development is considered to be in accordance with policy and recommended for approval. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Toby. Councillor Coogan, you wanted to ask a question?
Yeah, I was just wondering whether we can have a shot of the front view again, please. So, is that another picture, or is that it? So, I'm just trying to look at any emergency access. I know you've got water sprinklers there, and it's paragraph 35 and 36 refers to a neutral weighting. I don't know what that means. But I'm just wondering whether with fencing at the front, how, whether that impedes access at the front for any emergency vehicles. And with the, yeah.
Councillor Coogan, can I just say we come back to that when we have questions to the officer, but I appreciate you wanting to see the front of that, and I think it was useful in the CGIs because the plans don't show that built up area. We can go back to that. Thank you very much. Right, we have 3 registered speakers on this item. Fatai Dabiri, apologies if my pronunciation is not correct, and Adeneki Bola, have I got that name right? Yeah. Are to speak as objectors this evening, and Mr. Yoo-Eun Kim will be speaking in favour. Okay, so first of all, I'd like to welcome Fatai and Adeniki to the table. Please come to the mic is switched on, but just get yourself ready, and then when you're ready to speak, you go ahead. So you can address the committee with your comments. You're reminded you have 5 minutes to speak.
I'm not actually going to speak. I've just got some flashcards.
Then
Okay.
the gentleman's going to speak.
Yeah.
You may sit down anyway, but I've got it here that you are speaking as well.
No, I'm not going to, just for clarity.
Okay,
He's got
that's
the-
fine.
he's
That's
got
fine.
the full 5 minutes.
So you have 5 minutes, and we will let you know when you have 1 minute remaining, so you can round up your comments. Okay, fine. So when you're ready, and we shall start the
I'll take the mics. The mic's on. Yeah.
the mic. Your mic is on all the time.
Time,
Ours
okay.
have to be turned on to speak, in
Sorry,
turn.
just grab my bottle.
Yeah, by all means.
Thank
So
you.
just yeah.
Yeah. No.
Ready to go?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Ready to
Thank
go.
you very much indeed. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Right. Good evening. Well, good evening, members. I speak today on behalf of the affected residents of Fritham Close, Knightwood Crescent, Barnfield, Meadow Hill, and many others who all strongly object to this proposed development. As you know, my name is Fatai Dabri. I'm a resident of Fritham Close. I actually live next door to the application. I'm also an architect with over 30 years' experience. Have delivered in my career over 3,000 residential units across all tenures. I would like to say in my entire career, I've never come across such a grossly non-contextual development in my career, never. I'll prove this to you over the next few minutes, outlining 7 policy-based reasons. Please note that I'm reading from a statement, which is a summary of our 9-page objections report, which we presented during the consultation period, which was prepared by our town planner, Derek Horn Associates, who were established in 1992. They're very reputable. So I start. Overdevelopment of the land. The proposed terrace of 3 dwellings equates to a density of 40 dwellings per hectare. I want to make a mental note of this 40 dwellings per hectare, and compromises an uncharacteristic contemporary design that conflicts with the prevailing character of the area and the design principles set out in policy DM10 of the Kingston Core Strategy, and also under the Kingston Core Strategy policy DM11 states that development which takes its own design approach should only be allowed an exception where there is no identifiable cohesive character and where it's located in a low quality environment. By the council's own admission, within its character study of the area. This conception does not apply to Fritham Close, which the study advises is of high quality, comprises predominantly 1930s linked detached properties with an average density of 16 dwellings per hectare. As I said before, 40, the proposal, where our area is 16 dwellings per hectare. Second point, compromised quality and character of the area. The subdivision of the large rear gardens into 4 uncharacteristically cramped plots represents a gross overdevelopment of a backland site, and its modern design ignores the local distinctiveness in terms of its layout, orientation, scale, appearance, and shape. The development conflicts, again, paragraph 134 of the MPPF, and it fails to take opportunities for improving the character and quality of the area or take account of the council's character study. And it fails to satisfy policy D3 of the London Plan, policies MC1, DM10, DM11 of the Kingston Core Strategy, policy guidance 8 of the Residential Design Guide, SPD. Number 3, loss of privacy. The proposed 3 dwellings each include full-width covered balconies serving fully glazed living room windows that provide far greater potential for loss of privacy than a traditional design property. This design enables unimpeded year-round direct overlooking of the rear gardens of neighbours, thereby severely impeding privacy and failing to comply with policy D3. How many? 2 minutes, you say? Okay. Policy D3 of London Plan, Policy DTMT of Kingston's Core Strategy Development Plan, and Policy Guidance 16 of SPD. Insufficient separation distances. Separation distances, which Toby sort of brushed over, the southern flank elevation of the rear elevations of properties 4 and 5 Fritham Close will fail to meet the required 15-metre standard set out within the residential design SPD. The development would be within 11.5 of habitable room windows in the rear elevation of the host dwelling of number 4 and Fritham Close, and within 14.5 habitable room windows in the rear elevation of number 5. This will result in a severe visual intrusion sense of enclosure being imposed on current future occupiers of these properties, and conflict policy DM10 of Kingston's Core Strategy Development Plan. Safety concerns. The rise parking submitted in response to parking access concerns attempts to resolve the issue of vehicle having to reverse down the proposed access drive in theory. However, in practice, the turn-in area is likely to be used for additional car park by residents and visitors, thereby defeating the objective of resolving the highway safety concerns. This layout has also come at the expense of the rear garden space, serving the host dwelling of number 4 Fritham Close. Its reduced size and practical shape, proximity to the parking area and driveway would make it unsuitable for any meaningful private recreation purposes, in conflict with policy guidance 13 of the Residential Design SPD. Inadequate refuse strategy. The revisions do not enable refuse vehicles to enter the new development site and identifies waste storage bins sites at various locations to the side of the front of the host dwelling and in front of each new dwelling. This would not only create an eyesore in front of each existing building line, but future residents will be forced to carry out and drag household refuse along the access road. The commercial addition of Amazon lockers to the side of the host dwelling is also planned. An addition in entrance and in
That's
addition
time, Chair.
to, sorry?
Your time is up.
So,
5
okay,
minutes,
I'll just
thank
say, so we just say, but refuse planning. Well, refuse planning, that's what we say. Okay. Yeah, I totally accept that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, anyway. Do you want to stay or?
The amount of time allocated is 5 minutes to the objector and the applicant.
Yeah. Correct, yeah.
Right, if you'd like to go back to your seat, please, and then I will call the applicant. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
There is another opportunity for another 5 minutes for points of clarification, isn't there?
When do we put that in? When do we have that?
That's later, isn't it? That's those 2 bits.
Yeah, but that's, yeah. Right, thank. Joke. Sorry, did I crack a joke? I don't know why you were clapping then. Would you like to come to the desk? Thank you. Please can you respect what's the order of the meeting? No calling out and no comments, please. Otherwise, I will have to ask you to leave. Okay, so let's be respectful to everybody who's going to have their chance to speak. All right? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, so welcome, Yoon. Sorry if I haven't pronounced your name.
You know.
Okay, so you have 5 minutes as well to address the committee. We will let you know when 1 minute is up, if that's okay with you.
Thank you.
All right, so when you're ready.
Thank you for the representation from the community. I'm also part of the community. I've lived in Worcester Park for 20 years, and I represent our clients, Yasmina and Trace, are 4 Fritton Close. I have been a planning consultant myself for 20 years. I have also 18 architects that works under my supervision, and architectural designers. Also, my children go to school in Kingston. I've had the fellow architect talked about all the MPPF guidelines, the SPDs, the UDPs. I mean, I'm not here to talk about that because I know that through the consultation of the pre-applications with the Kingston Council and with back and forth listening to their objective and subjective ideas of their policies laid out in the local plans, abiding by the MPPF, and we've come to, amenable design. I think, obviously, design is subjective, and our fellow gentleman here has said, it's non-contextual. The materials does not match with the existing. But I'm here today to say we have designed something that I feel that serves the community of high quality nature. And I think also part of the whole scheme is to deliver a scheme which enlarges and heightens the quality of the design and bring a president to the area. I'm very proud to say that I don't have a knowledge of a fellow architect that has got planning in the latter part of 23 in Woodfield Gardens. I think they were hugely inspired by our design, and they also have been approved 3 new dwellings, exactly with the same scheme that we have got. And I think this is a precedent, this is proof that we are really trying to work with the community, with Kingston Council, and make this council come up with high quality design. I can be going on about the DM10, the SPD 2013, the CS8, but my focus is to promote high quality design and the standards for the future presidents and new developments. We have fit in 3 bedrooms because we know that we need more family dwellings in the area. I know that the cul-de-sac consists of semi-detached. We've put in terraced houses here because we know that we've met all the rules of the 7-metre fence line, the 60 square metres of the minimum guidelines of the amenity space. But that's not what we're trying to here, to beat the numbers. It's not about that. To bring communities together, family dwellings, and family members to this area. We're trying to target 9,640 homes for the next 10 years. And there are hugely a lot of numbers of apartment blocks, but not enough dwellings that's used the locked land developments at the back. And I think what we have done here is enhanced the community and the design levels. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Finished? Yeah, thank you very much. Would you like to go back to your seat? Thank you. So, firstly, do any members of the committee have any questions to the objectors? Again, councillors are reminded that you have 5 minutes for this time. We'll let you know when 1 minute is remaining. If there's more than one of you that wants to ask questions, then just please keep it on point so we get as many questions as possible. Okay. Would the objector like to come back to the desk, please? Thank you. Fatay. So, Councillor Coogan, just wait a minute. I'm just... Anybody else? Councillor Tracy? Right, stop, yeah. Councillor Coogan, if you'd like to ask your question.
Thank you for that. I know you were rushed because you were trying to get a lot of, trying to convey a lot of points within the shortest time, so I know it was a bit rushed. But given your professional background in architecture, etc., what are your views? I take your point entirely about the clear windows. I think loss of privacy is a major barrier. But how do you view, given that the plan that we saw didn't have these barriers at the front, now that they do have, and despite sprinkler system being installed, which is apparently a neutral weight, I do not know what that means. Access to emergency services if cars are parked as well in that driveway. What's your view on that?
Yeah, they've got a revised plan layout which shows, for the car parking, which shows like a hammer, and it's behind another car parking bay. So what's going to happen is someone's going to park there, because our close got severe problems with parking. Severe, you know, there's no off-street parking, very, very minimal. So people park wherever they can. So with that hammer they've introduced, sorry, on-street, that's what I meant. So with that hammer they've introduced, people are just going to park there anyway. It's going to be a second parking bay. So all that talk about someone's going to do, it's not going to happen. People in practice, it's not going to happen. They get there and it's reverse out, and that causes safety concern, because now they're reversing all the way back, and that's a major safety concern for us. And in terms of emergency vehicles, you talk like a fire tender, for instance, the fire brigade cannot go down that route anyway, has to stay right at the end and bring the hose all the way to there and do what they need to do. So it's, so on that level, it's very...
Yeah. And also the other thing, well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
I mean, as I said, I'm not an engineer, I'm not an architect, but
No, I totally
just from
agree.
a practical point of view.
Yeah, I agree.
And the other thing was the storage of bins. I think it was raised during the site visit.
Yeah.
It's a potential for 12 plus 3, anything up to 15 bins.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And if people, I know people are going to, 2 of them are going to park it at the back and one's going to park it at the front. I don't know. I mean, bins are always an issue, you know, very tightly spaced, correct. So
the refuse
I'm just
truck,
wondering what's from a planning best practice.
Yeah, so the refuse
how
truck
that should
is
be
going to,
done.
can't go up there, can't. So that means you talk about 14 bins, 4 per house, that's 12 bins, 12 bins are going to be dragged all the way down to the front where there's already a road there anyway, so I don't know where they're going to put those 14 bins.
Sorry to interrupt, but can we move on to other people who want to ask questions? These matters can be discussed with the officer shortly. Councillor Tracy.
Yeah, I'm just, well, I'm confused about a lot of things actually, but the main thing that's worrying me is these Amazon lockers. I did ask the planning officer and he said they're just for use for people in the close, and I took that at face value, but I've since learnt that that's not how Amazon lockers work. So, I mean, have you been approached, the people in the close, and been told these Amazon lockers are just for you if you're not in when we...
Oh, God, no.
Right,
no,
okay.
Nothing to know, no. The Amazon lockers are there, and also they've got gated community, so they've got 2 gates as well. So basically, you can only, I think, the Amazon delivery van put in the front, and the residents, those 3 new houses, will take it from behind.
And have you been told how many lockers will be there?
No, it's just a note on the drawing, it's Amazon lockers.
Right, okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's what it says, yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Park.
Just I wanted to ask about, how your view about character in that areas, because it's quite cul-de-sac areas and residents, they are living in that area. Suddenly, like a new house will be built in that area. So just I wanted to ask what your view in this area, character you can define.
Yeah, I mean, look at the area. We've got very distinct roofs. We've got very cat-slip roofs, very distinct, quite picturesque. And we've got this, which is very contemporary. It's totally out of character. It's imposing. I know my learned fellow, I'm not sure if it's an architect, but whatever, saying it's high-quality design. That's so subjective statement. I've showed this to, 8, 9 of my colleagues with collective experience of over 400 years, about 300 years. You know, loads of my colleagues, I've shown this to them, they could not believe that it's gotten this far. They just could not believe it. That is so wrong on all levels. The design, you could take it and put it anywhere in the country. It's just not contextual at all. There's nothing. I've been in Kingston over 20 years. I got full width balconies. You don't have that in KT3.
That's time, Chair.
Okay, thank you.
Also, can I have an additional?
I'm sorry, the time's up. 5 minutes, yeah. Thank you. You may go back to your seats. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So do members of the committee have any questions of the applicant? Please raise your hands.
Yes.
Councillor Park, Councillor Coogan. Please, can you come to the desk? Thank you. And Councillor Thorpe. So again, just so we get as many questions asked as possible and a reply, can we just keep it on point? Thank you. Councillor Park first.
My view is because inside of a house I will have inside of a garden have 3 houses, and the car will be parked in near the like a front house, between front house and behind the house. But I'm very concerned about safety. The car is coming through that very narrow road and cul-de-sac area and reversing. To be honest, I can't reverse in that area when I visited yesterday. So I want to hear from you to elaborate how you can guarantee the safety can be measured in that area, people can live safely.
That's a very good question. I think, yeah, we've designed it so that we got a straight linear route to nearing the house where you can see in the image where you've got the bollards. And then just behind there on the right-hand side, you've got a 3-way turning point there. So I think from the cul-de-sac to that area, it's about 11 linear meters. It's a very short run. So, and it's very narrow. I think it says, earlier on, I think one of the, Mr. Nichols said it's 2.3, but I think it's at 2.5 meters because of the side extension being knocked down. So, with such a narrow proximity for the car to drive, you have to be very, very slow to get there. And you know what? If that is an issue, then I don't mind even creating a little hump so that we don't have any fast cars. But for 11 to 12 meters linear run, I don't think you could really speed.
Thank you. Councillor Thorpe.
Councillor Park has asked my question. So,
I have additional question.
well, you can have my one.
Please.
Because I can see your design is beautiful, but I don't think it's fit to that areas. But what's your view, your design to compare to that area appearance? And you say, we talk about privacy, but if you normally in this area, that high top, we do full glass of window, I don't know even distance, whether you will be protected your privacy or not.
I mean, I think that's quite an ironic remark because obviously our fellow community members don't know the visuals and the context we showed Kingston Council and the council, the planning council in regards to the design. We actually came up with more of a Tudorian style design, and we had the Tudorian wooden slats. And I think Kingston being, looking into the future, I think they celebrate the diversity of the designs and the different style. I mean, it is landlocked at the back, so it's not visible from the street scene. So I celebrated the fact that we can go more creative at the back. It's not visible from the front street scene. So I really want to use that to raise our levels.
Thank you. Councillor Tracy, did you have a question? No. Councillor Coogan then.
Thank you for that. I've got about 4 points. I'll try and cover them very, very quickly. What's the duration of the build?
The duration, obviously we cannot say at this exact moment in time, but I'm expecting no more than, let's say, 14 months.
14 months, okay. And is there any financial negative impact on adjoining properties as a result of this build?
So could you elaborate on that question? Are you talking about financial impact?
I mean, I'll come to my other point later on, but is there any negative impact on adjoining properties either during the build or potential for sale?
1 minute remaining.
Okay, I mean, you could answer that later.
I don't,
Yeah.
excuse me, Councillor Coogan, I don't think that is a related matter to planning.
Agree.
Well,
Okay.
I mean,
Would you like
it's
to go on-
connected to the last point because I understand the reason this has come is because
I can
last
answer that
time
question,
round,
though.
Okay, if you'd like to answer it briefly, because I wanted to
Yeah.
ask my question,
I
okay?
might quickly connect to the other one.
Sure.
Because last time, failure to follow due process meant the group had to, out of pocket, apparently, because the council only compensated them 65%. So I'm saying, given that small history...
Councillor Coogan, that is not related to the application,
Yes, it's
please.
it's a
Thank
history.
you.
We're dealing with people and their finances.
I appreciate-
And I'm saying, is there a negative impact from this build? And lastly, there was a CEO of the Trees for Cities
Your time is
on the
up, thank
radio
you.
this morning.
I mean, if I could answer that question, I mean,
Councillor Coogan. Okay, I'm sorry.
No,
Thank you very much
I was
indeed.
trying to
Would you like to
respect
go
the
back to your
question.
chair?
Thank you.
Yes, so Toby, would you have any comments following those contributions that we've just heard now that you'd like to clear up? Thank you very much.
Just a couple. Thank you, Chair. Councillor Coogan referred to the fire strategy and are giving it neutral weight. Basically, neutral weight means that it complies with policy. We're not giving any benefit or disbenefit, as opposed to, for instance, if housing is given significant weight in favour. So we have to weigh all of the things that we see.
Thank you.
Somebody talked about the 15 metres distance, so that's referring to the distance from the properties of, I suppose, particularly 4 Fritham Close and the application, the 3 houses. And I was looking at this earlier, and I think that the maximum length of the garden is 16 metres, so it is about that distance, but we can look at that on a plan if anyone wants to see that. And just in terms of policy, DM3 of the London Plan does require us to optimise sites. And I think that there's probably nothing else that I think. The lockers, I mean, I know those have been raised. Obviously, if those are an issue, we can condition those to ensure that they are just for the placing of parcels, etc., for those individual occupiers. So whether they're Amazon or other types of lockers. So there's nothing else there that I need to raise. Thank you.
Thank you, Toby. I'm now move the recommendation as set out in the agenda report. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Thorpe. Moving on now, do any members have any questions for the officers, please? Councillor Tracy, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I do have a question. It's still about these lockers. I'm very concerned because I was led to believe it was just for the that close, and I took that at face value. But I've since been told that that's not how Amazon works. What happens? It's not for people who aren't in, that they just leave it in the locker. You either opt that the Amazon deliver it to your door, or you can opt to use a locker. And when you order things online, they give you a list of places in your area where you can go and collect your parcels. Now, I'm really concerned that these lockers will be listed when you go to order a parcel. It will be listed as a place where you can go and collect your parcel. So in theory, it could be an awful lot of houses using these lockers. I can't see Amazon just putting these lockers there for the 6 people who live in that close, just in case on the off chance they order from Amazon. So this could mean cars going there all times of the day and night. And a lot of cars, I mean, we don't even know how many lockers are there, but for it to make Amazon worth their while, I should think it'd be quite a few. But even one's too many, because literally cars will be going there whenever they want to collect from these lockers. And it's like running a commercial company from a tiny close. How this can be even considered is beyond me.
If you'd like to reply, Toby, can we have some clarification on these lockers? Because what I imagined they were going to be, like Councillor Tracy, it doesn't seem they are going to be, but we need clarification on that.
Okay, thank you. Well, so I have asked the architect this question. So I asked, can you confirm the lockers are just for the use of the residents? And the answer was yes, I can confirm this is for the private use of the residents. So the idea, I mean, if people, if various delivery companies deliver, then sometimes I say, was there a safe place where we can leave something? And therefore these lockers are, I think, that safe place. So it's just to collect deliveries from delivery companies, whether it's Amazon.
Can I have quiet, please, while the officer's talking? And we'll have no shouting or comments from the public gallery, I'm afraid. Thank you.
But obviously, if there is any concern about that, we can, ensure that it's conditioned that we have details of how these will be used, so that they can't just be used for, and people turning up and things like that. That isn't how I'm told it will be, but certainly, yes, I wouldn't necessarily encourage this being a location where people could come and pick up either, but that isn't my understanding of what is proposed here. But certainly we can control that via a condition if this
Well,
were...
once again, I say that Amazon aren't going to go to all the expense of putting in lockers just in case 6 houses, on the off chance. I should think lots of people there'd be in the day anyway, because they seem older people. So they go to the expense of putting in all these lockers just in case 6 people want to use them. That's not how Amazon works. It's literally, you can go online and that will be an Amazon locker pick-up point, and anybody can choose to have their parcels. That's how Amazon works. So I'm really unhappy to see that this is being put in a tiny little close like this. It's just, I don't believe it's just for the 6 houses in that close, because Amazon wouldn't go to that expense. It just doesn't make sense. I'm sorry, it really doesn't.
No, but as I say, we obviously we can control this as part of the any planning permission if it were to come. So, yeah.
Just for clarification, Toby, where it's at the front, where are these going to be located and how big is the area? Because that might distinguish or clarify how much is going to be given to this. So if it's only a small space, it's not going to be something massive for the public to use.
So it's the, I think it's the yellow, the yellow area just there, the side of the existing house. So yes, I mean it isn't the type of location where you would see what I describe as an Amazon locker, but it's a place where you might put some storage so that people can deliver to this location.
Thank you. Who had a next question? Councillor Park.
I have a question is about, because I know now London, the policy is changing, so they will require more homes to build. So that's why this kind of application is now considered to approve whether if they fit requirement of distance and privacy. But just I wanted to ask you whether it's urban, according to this urban policy, is any other council has been approved this kind of application, the application one, and if we, under our council, if we approved how many cases you had it, and if some other council has been objected to this kind of application form, then what was their reason for that one? Because just I wanted to understand the new development to like building a new home because of its requirement of new homes. It doesn't, for me, it doesn't feel it's right. That's why I wanted to ask this kind of data.
I suppose in terms of particular examples, there was a previous application brought to this committee for Woodfield Gardens, which was for three units, which has some similarities. I think obviously what is important to remember is each site is different, so it's a case of assessing each case on its merits. We do have guidelines within our residential design supplementary planning document, which does give us guidance on that, and we've assessed it against that, and it is compliant basically in terms of the amenity spaces and the distances that I mentioned in my presentation. So yeah, we've looked at that in terms of the design of these buildings. They are different to the surrounding properties, but we don't necessarily say that people have to just follow the design that's in a locality. It can be different. It'll be very limited views from streets. I think you may potentially get the odd glimpse, but it's not going to be widely visible from any street. So this will be away from the streets.
No, it doesn't, because I wanted to have some kind of figure of whether we have this kind of application form in urban development in other council, on our ward, on our council. If we have any...
Oh, in other councils?
Yes, has been approved this kind of application.
Well, yeah, I mean, so policy D3 of the London Plan is a policy that applies to all 32 London boroughs, I think it is. So all councils will be looking at this. All councils have housing targets that they have to meet, and yes, there will be lots of cases where they will be looking at developments like this, and as we have certainly elsewhere in the borough. I've worked for Kingston for the last 10 years, so I don't have much experience of what's going on outside the borough in terms of planning applications, but certainly it's not unusual in this borough, and I'm sure it's not unusual throughout London.
Well, you don't have any figure. You don't have any.
No, I mean I think these kind of sites, obviously, they are expected to provide a reasonable proportion of our sort of how certainly of our houses. I mean, the town centres will provide probably more flatted, higher density developments, but where there's sites where these can fit in, then we would look at those and assess it as we have done in the committee report.
Thank you, Toby. I have a couple of questions. Somebody mentioned, and I don't know who it was, about a gated development. This was the first I'd heard about gates on anything. So if you could clarify that, that would be great.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of any gates.
There is no gates.
Yeah.
Somebody mentioned gates.
On the side plan.
Sorry.
There's an annotated gate
The yeah. The,
I'm sorry, but you can't check it.
Oh, sorry, I don't want to raise the gates, that's why.
Right.
I'm sorry,
Toby.
so you've got, I suppose if you look at this plan, there's just to sort of entrances into the properties, to the front of the properties. There's sort of routes to get into there, and a little defensible space, I suppose we would call it. But otherwise, vehicles can, and people can, and cyclists can go up the access road, and there's nothing there to stop that. So yeah, we don't think there's any gates.
Thank you for that clarification. The other question was, it's going to be heated by heat pumps. Was there any PV panels on the roof as well? Because I saw something that was a sort of shaded area, but I wasn't sure if that was just a glass dormer window. Thank you, Toby.
Sorry. Yes, there are. If I take to the plan just to show you, those dark sort of rectangles are solar panels.
Thank you. And to come back to, I think, Councillor Coogan's point before, seeing the CGIs now, we see those little walls in front of each property. Is that where the proposed bins would be located during the week, and then they're moved down to the end of the access road on a collection day? Have I got that correct?
Yes, absolutely, that's correct.
Yeah.
Thank you. Did anybody want to ask about trees or anything else? Councillor Thorpe.
Can I ask about roads, streets? So the objector expressed concerns about people parking other than in the designated spaces. And I guess also with a very narrow way in and out, there will have to be some sort of traffic control. Is there anything more that we can do to mark the road or to make that clearer, so that, I mean, if you're waiting for someone to come out, there's going to have to be somewhere to sit in a car. Am I making myself clear? Sorry, that wasn't my question.
Yeah. Yes. So obviously, I suppose if you were looking to enter this site, you would be able to see vehicles coming certainly to a point, and there is good manoeuvring space within the site to ensure that there isn't that conflict, or certainly should be very, and it also should be very rare in terms of three vehicles coming in and out at the same time. But our engineers have reviewed that, and they're satisfied that this approach it works from a highway safety point of view, and certainly we've had similar situations. Woodfield Gardens actually would be a similar situation.
Thank you. Councillor Thorpe, were you thinking of something like a mirror so that you can see traffic coming in that direction, like you'd have on a blind corner?
I was wondering that. Yeah, that would be helpful too.
Any more questions? Councillor Coogan?
Thank you, Chair. Just as an observation, listening to what's been discussed today, so on top of a 14-month build period, at least minimum, the design has clear windows, which is loss of privacy, and in use, I'm beginning to wonder whether the Amazon locker was floated because there's ideas to use the premises as a business premise, maybe. So that's, that also is a sort of jarring point. And I'm still not clear on the bin storage. So I think, all in all, I don't think the existing residents have got enough safeguards about their privacies on too many fronts. Thank you.
Could you just clarify the privacy thing? You mean
Well-
from the point of
Well,
view
I'm
of...
saying, I mean, they've got to live through at least a minimum of 1 year plus of build. The actual design of the properties have got this huge clear glass, which means that they're going to have loss of privacy in their enjoying their gardens, their little spaces. And the fact that the Amazon locker, I mean, we can only go by what was presented. I'm beginning to wonder whether there was some idea to use one of these premises as a business unit. Yeah?
We can't go down that road.
That's
That's not
fine,
a planning
but-
It's
It's not a planning issue, but I'm saying,
Well, please don't, okay?
And if it is, if there is an Amazon locker, then the bins are going to be overflowing with rubbish. Thank you.
Toby, could you please clarify the privacy and overlooking that Councillor Coogan has brought up?
So I think this plan is useful to look at in that you see where the gardens are, and you would have the sort of glazed first floor, which would basically generally look over the rear gardens. Obviously, there would be some. Let me just go on to another plan. That's the ground floor. So on the first floor, there's that area there which is hatched. So the glazing is sort of set sort of behind the rear face of the building. So that sort of restricts views to an extent, certainly from within. But then the building also sort of restricts certainly views to the side from when you're on that sort of first floor terrace area. That's not to say that there couldn't be some view, but there's always an element of some mutual overlooking, and this wouldn't significantly add to that, in my view.
Toby, can I just follow up on another point? The balconies, they're balconies there, aren't they, at the back, the rear of the properties? Yeah. Would they be frosted or some sort of opaque glazing there?
So in terms of...
Because you have to have it coming the other way as well, don't you? Residents looking the other way, as well as them looking to residents. Have I got that right?
Yeah, so I think it's this elevation here, yeah, and it might be worth just looking at the visualizations as well, just to... So that to me is shown as clear glass, but it could be opaque glass. So that could be conditioned if necessary. But as you see, so that's the sort of space. You can see the screening to the sort of, if you're out on there to the right, and actually that each property to an extent screens a little bit the adjoining property because of their staggered nature.
Thank you, Toby. Just to confirm about the trees, which I think when we all went to the site visit, we were concerned about. You said that the pink or the purpley coloured ones, they're the protected ones. Would that include the horse chestnut and I think it's a sycamore on the site? Would they be remaining? Thanks.
So I think the T16.
T16, which is in the corner of that plot.
Okay, so yes, absolutely. That would remain. All of the trees within that purple zone remain. Absolutely. And in the two purple zones, but obviously the bigger one is the one to the sort of
east side. So yes, there's the three trees across the middle are fairly small trees. The one to the west is a large tree, but it's, if you remember, it had kind of three trunks effectively, and that does conflict with where the top, the sort of northwestern building would go. So that is the largest tree to go.
Thank you. Anybody else got any questions? No? Councillor Coogan? You sure? Okay, so moving on. We've had lots of questions. Move on to debate now. So that's comments from councillors, your thoughts, and then I'll summarise conditions and things like that. Okay? Councillor Coogan.
Thank you, Chair. So we've heard both sides of the argument, and I think as observers, we're not going to live there unless the developers get together with the residents and maybe, come to some agreement through maybe some sizable financial compensation. I can't see myself agreeing to this application. Thank you.
Councillor Tracy, thank you.
Yes, I have grave concerns regarding this application, not least that the mature trees that have taken decades to grow, some of them will be chopped down. And I don't think it's just good enough to say that new trees will be planted, because it will take years to make up for the ones that are being knocked down. And all right, I've heard people say that people can't live in trees, but I also want to say that the world can't live without trees, and I think we should avoid cutting them down at all costs. And I think just for the sake of these three houses, I realise we do have targets that we have to build. Sadiq Khan's given us, really big targets. I realise that. But for the three houses, it's not going to make a difference. I think even Sadiq Khan, if he looks at what Kingston have done, we can't be accused of not doing our quota, because there's people, things being built everywhere.
I'm sorry, you can't speak about Sadiq Khan because we're in an election period.
Okay,
sorry.
sorry. But I just think that for the loss of, and to the area, it's such a unique area. The architecture is amazing in that area, and once you start to lose it, when it's gone, it'll never come back. And I just think that, we do need housing, but we're talking about three houses here, and we're talking about hundreds of people, at least over 100 that have objected, because it's going to affect them. And I just think that the downside is definitely outweighing these three houses. And I just think, if it was in my backyard, I wouldn't want it. And I think if we're all honest, we'd all say that. So it's wrong on so many levels.
Thank you. But just to add the trees, we did determine which trees were going to remain. So it's only the small apple trees in the centre of the plot that actually would be removed. So the other ones are remaining. If you had...
Well, there's one that it sounds very... It says it could be knocked down.
Which one do you mean?
They're saying it could be knocked down if it shows that it restricts the light. Now, when they start to do the build, I think it's the one in the far corner. But they are mature trees, and I don't agree with them being chopped down if it can be avoided. And I just think for the area, for the terrible disruption it's going to be for these people who, some of them live there all their lives, I just think it's three houses at the end of the day. It's not going to, and it won't be going to homeless people, will it? So it's not like we're going to get three homeless people off the street. I just think it's not worth it for the impact it'll have on these people's lives.
Else got any comments? Councillor Thorpe.
This has been a very difficult application. I know it's been months, and I do appreciate the people that have all come this evening, and I appreciate the very detailed comments you've provided. And those of you who live in the close will know that we spent about an hour and a half there yesterday. We spent a lot of time looking at this. I am highly aware of the tilted balance that we face. We have to fill 9,640 vacancies over the next 10 years. That's 964 a year. And I think Toby told us yesterday that about 2,000 of those will be done by this sort of infilling between houses. This is not straightforward. I can understand the concerns about all of the things we've discussed, and I think they're very important. But I think on balance, we have to go with the recommendations of the officers on this, that this is a need for new housing, and that I can't see that if we were to reject it, we would have a good case for doing so, I'm afraid.
Thank you, Councillor Thorpe. I agree with you on the points you made. Councillor Park.
Just I wanted to put my comment, my opinions. Yeah. So in my case, I really doesn't want any. I wanted to preserve the character of that areas and the appearance. Also, I am quite concerned about safety in that narrow road, people coming in and out with the cars. So I wanted to more like not supporting this kind of application forms. That's my opinion. I wanted to more keep these areas more residential and have not creating more density, even though they fit all the planning permission criteria. But I wanted to more preserve this better, like current the appearance and character in this area.
Thank you, Councillor Park. Right, so Toby, do you got any more comments about... I'd like to just sort of what Councillor Thorpe said. It is very controversial, I realise that. However, the plans do meet the criteria for the London plan. We do have to build more houses and we do have to build more family homes. You know, there's lots of flats go up all over Kingston, but we need 3-bedroom family homes. That's what we need, okay? And that's probably what the majority of you people live in. So from that point of view, it is a positive development, and I think the design is very good. It's high spec. And while it's not obviously the same as the houses in Fritham Close, because they were built nearly 100 years ago, this is 2024, we've moved on a bit. And I think, personally, but that's kind of irrelevant, it fits well here. I'm going to go on to conditions, Toby. We have got most of the conditions in the document itself, but I just wanted to go over a couple of things if we were minded to agree on it, to pass it. Okay. So, if I've missed anything, please chip in and say that I've missed something. Okay, so the trees, we've got the TPOs, and we're still unsure about which tree we're talking about that may or may not be coming down. We've established that the sycamore and the large chestnut in the corner, that they are definitely staying. Yeah?
Yes, absolutely. Well, so yeah. I mean, these plans are this plan and the other plan are taken from the arboricultural impact assessment, which our tree officer reviewed and is happy with.
So the ones that are noted T18, T16, they're the preserved ones, yes? Just for clarity.
T18, T16, yes.
And the T8.
T8, yes, absolutely.
T3, those are all, they all have to stay. That's what I want to establish.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Good.
And that is secured by condition. Yes.
Excellent. Next, the biodiversity, there's a paragraph on that about the swift bricks and introducing more biodiversity in a new build like this. Am I right?
Yes, correct.
That's good. And the suds, the rainwater and the runoff?
Yes.
Because obviously you've got 3 houses now, whereas before it was a garden. So is that tight enough, that condition?
So I'm just looking for it to... That's nature conservation, yeah.
Paragraph, it's condition 10, I think.
Is it? Sorry.
Yeah.
That's nature conservation there with the Swiss bricks. I was looking for the sustainable drainage one.
You've got a point. Yeah, just let me finish.
Yeah, I'll
Is that okay?
Oh, yes, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, condition 8. Yes, sorry.
It says one EV point, charging point would be active and 2 passive. Can we make all those 3 active? Because I think, you know, more and more people are moving towards electric vehicles. So
More
would it-
people
would it
are. I mean,
make that more sense to have all 3 as active EV chargers?
we can certainly. The policy says 20%, so that's
Okay.
the maximum policy says. So they're doing 33%. So
Okay,
they're
right.
exceeding
But
that.
I think, you know, I mean, I don't know how do you get from passive to active? Is there much work to do? Is that like taken up when somebody asks for it to become active? I don't know what the
Yeah, I think much of the work is done.
procedure is
Much
there.
of the work is done in passive, and then
In
you
the
basically
plumbing
then you
work,
basically
basically.
yeah, you've
Yeah.
got the electricity there and
you
all
just
the
have to
wiring.
adapt
You've
it,
just
yeah.
got to connect into it basically.
Okay, right. The Amazon lockers, I'd like to nail those down. Literally, what I thought they were, and I've seen these in people's gardens, are a big grey box. You can put letters in it and you can open it and put a parcel in it if you're out at work. And that's what I thought they were. If they're not that, then I don't know what they are. Okay, and I don't know why, as you say, anybody would want to have something as big as that outside their house. Thank you. You're jumping to conclusions. You are. Please. Right. Okay, so the Amazon lockers, we're going to state that they're going to be a size for personal use, yeah? Or something along those lines, a condition? If it's a condition, Toby?
Certainly, we can ask for the details of exactly what is proposed and how they will operate. So that could be a condition.
And
absolutely.
can we refuse those if we find that that's not acceptable?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Right,
And
good.
And yeah, to be clear, we wouldn't be approving
Something
Amazon.
as people
yes,
think
yes,
it might
absolutely.
be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Excellent. Councillor Tracy, you had something.
Just found what I was looking for, because I'm not quite sure. It says in the tree officer, landscape officer bit here, it says that they would recommend that the cypress tree in the westmost corner be removed to because of reduction of light to the proposed new dwellings. So it's not saying it is going to be knocked down, it's saying it's recommended it. So, but I'm not sure, what one do they mean by the cypress one, do we know?
I think they mean one of the ones along the southwestern purple area. If you remember from the site visit, there were some, I think there were a couple of cypress trees there, but so I've taken the tree officer's comments verbatim, but that isn't what is proposed. What is proposed is this, and this is what was submitted. It was just the tree officer's comments. Well, you know, actually they wouldn't mind if they took out another tree, but that isn't what's proposed. So therefore, we are going with this. Yeah.
Thank you, Toby. Any more comments? Any more questions? If I've missed any conditions that...
One about the glazing.
Oh, yes, the glazing. Thank you, Sam. The glazing of the balconies. Can we condition that?
So let's just have a look. So yeah, we've
I
currently
mean,
got
privacy both ways, you know.
we've got condition 3, which talks about this being done in accordance with the materials specified on the approved plans. But certainly we could amend that to specifically ask for details of the materials of that glazing. I mean, it would be, I think, sort of 1.1 metres high. That balustrade, that's what you require to meet building regulations, so that you don't fall off your balcony. So I don't think we'll be looking to put something up higher, higher than that, because obviously you want people to still be able to look out, rather than just be surrounded by a high glazed glass. But I mean, potentially you could do. I mean, if you felt it was such an issue, but it would obviously have a slightly, have some impact on the occupiers of those properties if they had a higher.
I was
balustrade.
thinking more sort of obscure glass rather than
Yes,
clear.
absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
not
yeah. So
higher balcony. Not
no,
higher
fine. Yeah,
size.
absolutely. So
yeah.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
that could be conditioned. Absolutely. So that would need to be added in.
If you could, please.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anything else that we need to add in? Councillor Thorpe.
I was just looking at paragraph 14 on the construction works. Obviously, it's a very narrow set. Is that a fairly standard list there, Toby? Is there anything that we should be having specifically on a small site like this?
It's a standard. It's a standard list. Obviously, each site will be looked at, on its own merits. So obviously, when somebody looks at this, they'll need to understand the constraints of the site. So yeah, absolutely.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. So I want to ask Toby just one more question. If we weren't minded to permit, what would be the points that we would do that on? What points would we be able to refuse on?
Well, obviously, I guess that to an extent that's down to members to decide that. I suppose the things that I'm hearing is probably about the character of the buildings compared to the character of the surroundings, but in terms of but yes, I mean, obviously, from our point of view, the buildings do look different. They're actually, because they're sort of 2 stories with partly in the roof. They're not actually as big as the surrounding buildings, but they are of a different character. But yeah, so that's what I've been hearing. But obviously, it wouldn't be for me to decide that. But if I can comment on what you suggest if you want to go down that route.
Thank you. Right, we're going to go to a vote now. By a show of hands, those in favour of this application, please raise your hands.
There's 2 in favour, Chair.
Those against?
3 against.
3 against.
So
That's declined.
So the application isn't approved.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Now you need to vote on reasons for refusal.
Yes, so now we're going to have to agree to why we have refused it. Okay? And Toby will write those down. Okay? So, Councillor Coogan? Your suggestions?
Yeah, as I said, the duration of the bill, the clear windows, lack of...
Hang on a minute, just slow down.
Yeah. Given the duration of the build, at least 14 months plus,
That's not a
the
material
loss of privacy due to clear windows, the indication about Amazon locks indicates there might be a business premise, which is, loses further impacts negatively on neighbours.
Sorry, Councillor Kuhn, that's not relevant
Okay,
to the planning application.
Fine, okay. The bins, I'm still not quite sure how the bins are going to be located. If Amazon lockers
I did explain, and they're going to be put outside the fronts of the houses and then moved.
That's fine. And then also, I'm not totally sure about the safety aspects of emergency vehicles coming to the property. Okay, thank you.
Sorry, could you just repeat that? Safety of
Well,
vehicles
I'm
coming
not
into the access road?
Given the way we were demonstrated during the presentation, which is it's not consistent with what we were circulated, I'm not clear that emergency vehicles could have easy and prompt access to the buildings. So it's a safety aspect.
Thank you.
Health and safety.
Councillor Tracy.
Yes, I too would worry about the safety of the access road and the amount of traffic that could be going down there, especially if the Amazon lockers do go ahead. Also, I'm really unhappy with the fact that this is a really unique area. The architecture is lovely. I don't think we should be spoiling it with things that aren't in keeping with the area. And I also don't think we should absolutely take into account the people who've objected to this, and it will affect their lives. And I think they are important. Let's pretend they're not. They are. They are.
Councillor Park.
Yeah, my objection reason is, first of all, I want to preserve this kind of area of character
like
and
Yvonne
appearance.
said.
That's the first my reason. And second one, I do not encourage land changing this in this kind of a way.
Sorry, I don't understand what you mean. Sorry.
So for at the moment we kind of open up to discussion to allow garden converted into building some housings inside.
A backland development.
So I don't want to encourage that kind of land similar to potential development. That's my second reason. And my final reason is also I have still concern about safety. This area is quiet residential area, bring lots of traffic in and out that area. Also, how can I say, the car moving in and out is, I can't see it's very sufficient enough to moving in and out. So I can't see it's quite safe with that kind of movement in that area.
Councillor Park, what did you mean on that last?
On the development one, did you mean overdevelopment?
Did you mean overdevelopment or just the character, changing the character of the area? What did you mean?
I want to change the character of this area.
Right, yes.
And the second one, also I don't want to encourage the land to have a similar development potential. So it's not only this application, maybe in another area have a similar application. I don't support that one.
Sorry, Toby, could you clarify that? Because we're not sure.
I think she's saying not set up a precedent for everybody to go and start building in their gardens.
What she's saying, I'm just checking to see if it's a valid one.
Yeah, we're just checking to see if it's a valid point for refusal. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we have to look at each case on its merits. So it wouldn't be a case of creating a precedent as such. We would look at each case on its merits. So I wouldn't recommend that we should look at this case on its own merits, not what it might potentially lead to elsewhere. I suppose the other. to do a few comments on what's been said. So you mentioned privacy. I guess that potentially a case could be made, and obviously that it's all shown as clear glazing. In terms of safety, we have had our engineers review this. They're satisfied that this wouldn't lead to an impact on highway safety. We are talking about sort of 3 vehicles. So obviously that's a specialist area. So, you know, whether you want to pursue that, I guess. And then I think the other one is about really the change of character and the backland development and, you know, so yeah, that's, you know, I'm sure we could word something in relation to that.
Thanks, Toby. We have to agree the reasons for the refusal now, so we'll take a vote on that. Okay, so those in favour of the reasons for refusal of this application, please raise your hands. I don't actually. Do we have to do that? I don't think we have to do that, do we? We've refused it. We don't have to.
Which ones are we going?
Well, you have to choose.
We do. That's what we need
Oh,
to do.
okay,
That's what you have
right.
to do, because obviously there's loads have been mentioned, but you have to pick the ones that are relevant. Yeah. Sorry. You do need to agree.
Right, okay, so
Yeah.
what do you want?
So
Well,
you
I
need
think
to-
they want all of them, don't they? You have to pick.
But I suppose
So based on Toby's advice,
we go through each one and say, is that voted for?
Against,
For
or
or against
abstains, or abstain.
that particular reason for refusal?
Yeah.
well, it depends on if they're in. It depends on if they're in agreement with.
I don't understand.
So these are the ones you have.
Yeah, safety of the vehicles.
So
and
Toby's
traffic.
advice is that one can't.
That can't go.
That wouldn't
because
be,
the traffic highway
because
engineers agreed that.
Because the
Yeah.
professional view is that it was in agreement.
Yeah.
That's what Toby's advice was, and
So-
then loss of privacy is one that you could.
So
you could
loss of
have.
privacy to neighbouring properties.
Yeah, that's one you could have, and then obviously the.
Unique character of the area.
That is obviously one. That's the M10, isn't it? Unique character, Toby.
DM10.
Obviously, if you tell me that's a concern, then I'll word something and
Yeah.
I'll
Okay.
agree with you.
So unique character of the area, and then this one would be
The backland.
preserving that one. And Toby's advice was that it wouldn't be setting a precedent because each case is dealt on its own merits.
Right, so we've got
so it's
two.
only really two.
So we've got the safety of the,
No, that one
sorry, the loss of privacy to what neighbouring properties?
looks like it.
Yeah.
Is that correct, Toby?
Yeah, so that's
So do we vote on each one?
I mean,
What,
it's
do we? I don't understand. Do we vote on each one or not? I haven't done this before.
So yeah, so it hasn't come up. This scenario doesn't come up very often.
No, I
so,
know.
So normally the members are kind of in agreement what the reasons for refusal. So someone can propose reasons for refusal, and then we can just vote on that. So someone can put forward. I could suggest that you could put forward these reasons that the ones that actually
So the
would
u-
work. Maybe I don't know.
Right.
Depending on what
Shall I
Toby
just
thinks.
do that then?
So I think we just to, so I think the ones that we're really talking about are highway safety, privacy, and character. Those are the 3.
So highway safety,
But I
privacy.
think, what was potentially you might be able to argue privacy and character. I think to
Character of the area, of the neighbouring properties.
well, it would be about the.
So what shall I propose that
we
we?
talk about backland development,
Yeah,
character,
yeah.
and things like
So
that. So
shall I just say it's proposed that we? I don't know what wording am I going to do.
So I would suggest that you propose those two that Toby's just highlighted there.
The privacy.
yeah, but I mean, I suppose you can vote on highway safety, but obviously because
Yeah.
the risk. I mean, it's
The risk
it's not
is-
just it's just not. Yeah, what we do risk is
Yeah.
costs because
Yeah.
our highway engineer has said.
Yeah. So let's just go
The
with
highway
the.
engineer isn't going to be coming to trying to.
So let's just go
So
with the
you
character.
clarify to the committee, basically, that following advice from Toby, that some of these aren't tight enough. So it makes sense.
Or they don't exist. The safety one isn't applicable because the highways have
What you could
agreed
potentially
that.
do is say, well, the narrow access is out of character, and which leads to the you know. So
you deciding it, yeah.
Sorry about
It's
this.
Rachel deciding it, yeah.
It's quite unusual to have this sort of scenario. So what we're going to do is we're going to vote on each item for refusal. Okay? So the first one, which members brought up, was the loss of privacy to the neighbouring properties. Okay? So those in favour of that, please raise your hands. That's 3. Against? Sorry. What?
I'm in
I'm
a
going
clear
to
stick because I was against. I was
Yeah,
for.
I'm going to abstain.
Okay, that's
So 2 abstentions, 3, 4. Okay? None against. Okay? The next one, I have been told, because of the report from the highways engineer who agreed in the report that the access was okay, that it was fine, I'm not sure that that one will be acceptable, but we can put it in, but it may not be relevant. So we can vote on that. So those who wanted the safety of the vehicles and emergency vehicles, so the access road there, who are in favour of that as a reason for refusal, please put up your hands. Yeah?
3 in favour.
3 against?
3 in favour, and then
2 abstentions.
2 abstentions, and no against. Okay.
And then the other one, which related to a backland development, and we want to try and preserve the unique character of the area. And that was a reason. So those in favour of that?
So that's 2 in favour.
2 in favour? Those against? Abstentions?
3 abstentions.
3 abstentions.
So that's still agreed. Chair.
Right, thank you.
But that, and then is that the last one? Yeah?
That's the last one, yeah.
Okay.
That's great. Okay, thank you very much for that. Are we on to the last item?
Yeah. So
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much for that. Sorry it went on a bit, but we need to have it clear. Right. There being no urgent items by the chair this evening, I close the meeting at 9:20. Thank you. 21:20. Thank you very much for your time, everybody, for coming. Thank you.